Rahim. First of all, I'm very much thankful to Dr. Hussyn Sahaba, who provided me this opportunity to talk among the galaxy of researchers at this Researchers Cafe. She has assigned me the topic of entrepreneurship, education, and Chinese experience. I'm right, ma'am? First of all, very simply, just definition of entrepreneurship. Stevenson and Jarrillo, 1990. A process by which individuals either on their own or inside organizations pursue opportunities without regard to the resources they currently control. So this is the simple definition of entrepreneurship. Another definition is with constructive approach, and this is of the Bruyat and Julia. According to this, entrepreneurship incorporates entrepreneur, new value creation, the environment with which it takes place. So these are two different views on this one. Then in education domain, the term enterprise and entrepreneurship education are two different views. Now in UK and in other countries, there are two different terms are used. One is enterprise education and entrepreneurship education. And UK usually the British usually use this term, enterprise education. And according to this enterprise and entrepreneurship education, we further go with two different approaches. One is narrow approach and the other one is broad approach. According to narrow definition, entrepreneurship is about identification of opportunity, business development, self-employment, venture creation, and growth, that is becoming an entrepreneur. So this narrow definition of entrepreneurship is totally related to the business enterprise, some sort of corporate system of that one. According to wide definition, it is related to personal development, creativity, self-reliance, initiative taking, action, orientation. That means becoming entrepreneurial in the nature or in its own. So its effects are what definition and approach is used that affects the educational objectives, target audience, course content design, teaching, learning process. So actually these are the questions. How entrepreneurship affects our system of education and educational goals, aims, and objectives. Now, when we go for the entrepreneurship actually based upon two different competencies. I'm just making very short due to shortage of time. Entrepreneurial competencies and operational competencies. Entrepreneurial competencies are related to explorative value creation, and operational competencies are related to routine value competencies. When we talk about explorative value competencies, they are mainly concerned with new ways of working, new methods of research, new methods of teaching, and then something to innovate new things. I mean, innovation is the major thing. When, for example, you innovate your course content, and that course content exclude yourself and exclude your teaching faculty, make it a value-added product for other people. So it is explorative value creation. But if it is happening in the routine, that you say this subject is very valuable and nothing is new, so that does not go for entrepreneurial approach, or simply is that is creating some money, but its value is not competing that value, which we call it explorative value creation. Terminology of entrepreneurship in education. Enterprise is primarily used in UK. and then interchangeably they also use this word entrepreneurship. But again, I would emphasize upon this. When they use the word enterprise, it's more broadly. It's more broad on personal development. Enterprise education means personal development. And entrepreneurship education means to go for some corporative system or some sort of creating with the viewpoint of business and corporate viewpoints.
डॉक्टर साहब ऐसा हो सकता है कि आपकी जो ऑब्जर्वेशन है वहाँ के
जी मैं उस पे आ रहा
हाँ
हूँ
जी
जी
ये डेफिनेशन वगैरह तो फिर मतलब
जस्ट मुझे 2-4 मिनट तो देना कि मैं अपना केस क्वालिफाई कर सकूँ. United States use this term entrepreneurship education. Scandinavians sometimes use very different, they call it learning entrepreneurial education, entrepreneurial learning. So these definitions and these terms varies from country to country, but according to their own. If we apply it in pedagogical system, or if we go for the educational system, then pedagogical intervention let student learn to create value for other people. So as a teacher, if I become entrepreneurial and I use entrepreneurial approach, so then I believe that my task will be explorative value creation, and it will help my students to go further in the entrepreneurial activities. Why entrepreneurship is relevant to education? Economic growth is the most important point that is related to education. When we bring entrepreneurial activities or we emphasize upon entrepreneurship, that means we are working for the economic growth and job creations and make the people more creative and more innovative. Then next important question that is related to this one is when should entrepreneurship infuse in education? Infusion of entrepreneurship is clear in theory, but in practice much remains to be done. Very simple. कि in theory तो मैं आपको बहुत कुछ समझा सकता हूँ, बहुत कुछ कह सकता हूँ, but in practice this is not happening on the ground, neither in the very developed states or in our underdeveloping or developing countries. How to make students more entrepreneurial is probably the most difficult and important question in this domain, because unless the teacher becomes entrepreneurial, students cannot become. So it's the training, it's the mindset. It's the mindset of the teacher, how he is creative, how he is innovative, or she is innovative, and how she leads the students or the learners in his own domain. So this I finish here. Now we come